Okay, hello. Hello. The species value nature system. It's just another warm up. Boxing. Ancient. Oh. Ancient. Oh. You know why people make that sound? Because you're breathing out, and you're trying to hold some in too. Because it's fat. So we enter the boxing arts. Long time I have not trained in the boxing. I just say no, even though no long time no train in the boxing. Why? I speak with accent. Because boxing, the nations were once one. Yin Yang is painting positive's relationship to itself as change, as what does not change. Clear value. See space right here. Clear value. Most important lesson. Boxing, beginning in. Distance. Distance. Say, oh, balance, balance. You go off distance. So you're not. This is not non-paid advertisement for Ringside. Because I like their gloves. It's better. It's good gloves. It's better than Everlast. No offense. I mean, what other ones? Collector. They make these gloves. You can't. They make your hand close like this, and then people hurt their knuckles. People don't understand why. Those are handmade. That's bad glove. But those are the famous gloves. Cleto Reyes, the Mexican. See what Manny Pacquiao did? He beat a good fighter because that guy leaned in. Then he took him out. He made that. He like that to come inside. He go like that. You're like telling the guy, "Boom, blast me out." You know what I'm saying? Dezzy Clark used to be an old guy. He used to fight with the circus, and he used to just take anyone from whoever wants to come in and fight him, and he fight him. He beat him like a heavyweight version of Mayweather. Just with the jab right hand. Because now, not even getting into the hooks. You know what I'm saying? So, people don't know those things because, so take, for example, there was a big circus fire. A lot of people died in Hartford in a tent. Which, think about that. How does a tent catch on fire? A tent. You're already outside. It's going to catch on fire so fast, and everyone's going to die inside the tent. In the big circus fire. CT is cherry tree, not oak nor peach. Watch the YouTube channel of Romulus Wall because I teach. I teach you all. We're going to examine the relationship that the sciences have as a shared identity by and as the sequence nature, like all parts of our body share. Not only the identity of us with it, but us with all. Because a clear value is inherently, actively, and just progressively making its value more valuable as a forever nature, as the identity of positive, as the identity of the secret's nature, and diffusing with and through earth and as our own. So we're going to see how the predicate is always a positive relationship to positive. The predicate act is always an inherently negative, inherently actively and progressively negative relationship to positive's identity. And we're going to show how they've been obfuscating each of the sciences per a fact treatment nature, fact treatment torture, not fact treatment nature torture method. Torture, note that word, because we're going into fact treatments, and we're going into the organized crime with like modern languages and with military, also intermilitary with through medical corruption tied to courts and to prisons, international agreements with the sciences, with the medical corruption tied to courts and prison, in the areas database rackets originally in state. That means they're setting up, they're attaching innocent people, and then even attaching people who end up in court because they did something wrong. They're attaching the worse than they did, and like worse than slander, because it's formal too. Since I was a kid, there's people tied to courts admitting that what they're doing, basically what they're communicating, is they come into court and they want you to listen to them, and they want to pretend they don't make any mistakes, and they're making them on purpose. They're making worse mistakes. They're criminally influenced per criminal internation persuasions maintained through a method with our areas through internation families originally in state fake sides. See how they leave out how they had a spy den admitted right through the news, but they leave that out of attachment. They don't let correlation, but they keep talking anyways. Fake science. You know, the media is supposed to put other roles, the other sides of stories, and they're not doing that in conjunction. They're faking people's sides of stories in relationship to innocent people getting set up in courts, attached to fake conversations through time, one-way reports. So then they show up, they're stacking the databases. When you go to courts, the way that they're told, they have a lot of physical delusions. They have a lot of criminal persuasions, and they're pushing that on us because they're hurt victim predator. How the sciences like this train them to fact treatment nature justifications that you can't justify, and be roles with countering what it was originally fourth state progressed to all areas with the American Revolution, with our losses. CT is cherry tree, not oak nor peach. This is why George Washington had the counter extort right here in Wethersfield, Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, had the counter extort England's ties to it, which was, in other words, the nature of the fact treatment nature rolls with it, because it was forcing fake sides, like see with Spain and Spain over there in Asia, with the colonization of Asia, little Spain, they were extorted themselves. They had to survive that. They had to take an identity with and as fake sides, internation nations by criminal campus marcias, internation sciences to all areas, with roles with the internation ones, with fact treatment nature, sabotage, torture method. That's where they came with the torture. There's also exploitation, shock and awe method. That's why they told us to defend that, because we have exploited fact treatment, pseudo sophistication with the suit and tie, part to measure that, not just here, internation, because that's a relationship to the nature of organized crime that requires being able to counter and to understand nature of criminal insidiousness, and with the relationship to fact treatment and fact treatment natures, like criminal insidiousness in nature. And we'll see this is why how the motivations for obfuscating English word. In other words, a predicate is not a verb, because a verb, it loses that identity. So as an identity of value, it is one in demonstration of with all other things, that identities of value are only constant by what identity is to itself, which is a positive relationship to positive self, or a negative relationship to it. This positive nature is in diffusion through and has the value of immediate space nature earth. And when this is not let here, it's forced away from here, leth of hadith, forced space nature transfer. So when I say hello, the human value nature system, and when the little cartoon characters say it on my YouTube channel of Romulus Wall, user youtube.com/Romulus/Romulus Wall, and you learn, because no one else is going to teach you, right? Because they're playing by jobs that were originally state breach, and justifications of that are within as criminal insidiousness natures. You can't, and as physical delusion propagation natures and rules. You can't justify. You can't explain what the breaching organized crime with colonization was if you're trying to take us as a business and leaving that out of it. You see that? See, ratiocination notes exceptions because they're purpose for it. And with religion, see how they attack the religious, the Constitution? They're with the roles with sub rosa with evidence fact treatment rackets and cover up nature, live progression, cover up natures. Only let as victim realize as victim predators. See how these campuses won't let things reported in conjunction with online policing also be used to facilitate and to hide their roles because of the nature. So they have them incapable of some food, mama. And speaking and being honest because of the nature of their agreements to share policing of the market's positions with internation, all sides, without the integrity with those people. And that's also with suit and ties in relationship to. That's also in relationship to Islamic dresses, which is a counter for them to see that. All dress is negative value nature. This is a topic with the Old Testament, with the Quran about mistreatments of the predicate act and of positive's nature as an identity of value, and that's fact treatment nature. In other words, force fake sides is about the force fake sides. And if we don't address this, it's about how it exploits it. The Quran warns about Muslims who say they're Muslims all the way, but they're not. It's because the internation sciences, they also with rackets recorded with these kids through time, and the reason is with the one just it's interreligion, and how it is tied to nature's court, especially with probate courts and with their family members too, victim predators by areas, avert predators. What I'm saying, but especially with the probate court relationship to elderly homes and poverty. And what attacked the laws of colonization only let the colonists build one way, and had to be monitored, database conversation monitored by internation police associated with these fake signs, fake breaching rule method. If you even speak about building infrastructure outside of the internation monitor databases, and where they had slavery in the north tied to this, then they hurt you and your whole families. So now we are also obligated to deal with that in relationship to all the convictions that just play the north and south racket, and leave our founders' original extortion recorded, not left out, and glorified the forced theater they were told to tell for the breaching natures and methods. Like, for example, with the North and South and with the war. Both sides were part of those slavery laws. In the North, look what they brought them into. Awes, shock and awes. You can't stack people like that and then tell the truth, because it's going to cause negative value nature progressions. And the ancients who stole revelations in the proper nature of the Campus Marcius knew this. So they knew they cultivate them to needs and natures needed to cover it up and lie and hide on, pretend it's on other things. The real causes of it, you know what I mean? So we have to understand how the colonists could see right through fake branches, and weren't allowed to tell that. And still, we have to understand the criminal motivations and the physical delusions with experts with each science, and we're going to examine how and why. There's proofs that the verb is not a predicate. A predicate is a distinct identity of value. And we're going to understand this in the relationship to the predicate act, which is inherently actively and progressively negative value nature relationship to itself, an identity of value. And we only have now to be identities of value, either to positive progression, inherently actively and progressively, or to negative value nature's progression inherently, actively, and progressively. Because our nature is getting formed as a quality of diffusion coming through us. We are a forever nature is expanding itself, which is the phenomenon of the temporary value nature, the value of the temporary positive of Earth. And we'll see the difference between positive and negative value nature is positive value nature relationship to itself. Because even temporary value nature is only negative value nature as a temporary value nature. Even consciousness. The halo is about this. It's about to teach the law. This is about to teach about science. This is not a joke. This is they're holding physical delusions and crazy narratives to the interpretations of the religions. They call it literal interpretation, but it's not literal because they're not letting exceptions demonstrate it. And those exceptions are for ratiocination's means, which is an active form of correlation, which is inherently actively and progressively of value to us, to all living bodies.